Browns defensive end Myles Garrett post-game. Remember, he said he was unhappy with the loss against the Steelers. Was asked about the dominant win against the Dolphins.
It's nice. We haven't had that all year, and if you don't want to make it close if you don't have to. So we're all coming together in that fashion. That's exactly what we want, and we got to continue to strive for that.
You had obviously expressed some frustration after last week's game and again on Friday. Do you feel like in some ways the team kind of rallied around some of the things that you said and really kind of pulled together?
Yeah, I mean, rallied and we we got to win in a fashion which we can appreciate, but that's not enough, and we got to continue to do that. One win is one thing, but no, we've got to turn this into a habit, an addiction. It's got to be an obsession to win and win like this, and so we got to keep on chasing that feeling.
Pete, I like that. I know you wrote an article. Quinshon Judkins' defense carried the Browns to that decisive win. Take us through that article, and that's what you want to hear from Garrett and your better players. It's got to be an obsession to win.
Yeah, I have to say I like the attitude I heard from both he and Dillon Gabriel. They did not treat this like they won the Super Bowl. They treated this like this is a step in the right direction. As far as the game goes, look, I mean, Browns offense wasn't great by any stretch. In fact, it was pretty disappointing in terms of the run game. They got what they needed, and more importantly, they were successful in the red zone. But just in terms of ingredients to a win, Browns were 2 of 3 in the red zone. The Dolphins were 0 for 2. The Browns were better on third down. I think there were 4 out of 11 versus 1 out of 13 for the Dolphins. And the Browns were 4-0 in the turnover differential. You're going to win a lot of football games if you do that. Not only that, I think the Browns now, because they've got, I think, +6 in their last 3 games in turnovers, I think they're back to even on the season, which is certainly something that this team needs to do and is something that this has been stressed. The thing that stood out to me in this game was how the defense was aggressive. The Browns blitz, they send linebackers, they do all that kind of stuff. But this is the first game I can think of off the top of my head where the Browns were really aggressive with their defensive backs in terms of blitzing. Grant Delpit was great. Denzel Ward had 1 blitz, although his angle was horrific. And then late in the game, Donovan McMillan had a sack with the defensive back blitz, and the Browns were able to do some of those things. And my question coming out of this game, and I'm curious if we're going to find out, is why now and what caused the change? Is this a matter of game plan, the weather, and everything else, the opponent, Tua Tagovailoa, and all that? Was this a case of the broadcast? They talked about Myles Garrett trying to make his voice heard in this. Was that a factor? Was it the Tyson Campbell trade? Was this just a trust element that Jim Schwartz got to a point where he felt good about it? But either way, they paid it off handsomely, and they looked really good doing it. Now, they gave up some yards, which is going to happen when you risk like that. But overall, they still kept them out of the end zone. They were able to create some big plays and keep the Dolphins off balance, which was really good. But as I mentioned earlier, the thing that you take the win, you're happy with it, and everything that went with it. You didn't really get an answer on offense, and that's the factor is the weather, and why I sort of went in this game sort of apprehensive, because so much about what this season needs to be about, in addition to sort of seeing improvement in the standings, is seeing improvement on offense. And we didn't get to see that really. Yes, they had some good plays. Quinshon Judkins obviously had some good runs. They did some good stuff in the red zone. But in terms of answering the question we talked about earlier, what did this game mean for Dillon Gabriel in the passing game? Very little. There were a couple of nice throws. The play to Jamari Thrash was good. Harold Fanning continues to do some good things, but you couldn't throw the ball downfield in this weather. You can't stretch the field in this type of situation, and that needs to be somewhere that this team grows if they're going to be better. And that's sort of the element that comes out of this game. You want to win. You want to get everything you could out of this game. I was happy with it, but you didn't get those questions answered, and we're still heading now into a 4th game with Dillon Gabriel, and we're still waiting for this next step to sort of open up.